Hi everyone. A short recap on the previous lesson. For any chemical reaction, heat is either released or absorbed, or we can say chemical reactions, they are either exothermic or endothermic. And how do we arrive to that conclusion whether a chemical reaction is exothermic or endothermic? Is by calculations and also experiment. So during a chemical reaction, all bonds must be broken down, and this process requires heat to be absorbed, which is endothermic, and new bonds will be formed. Heat is released, which is exothermic. So it's important to know bond breaking is endothermic, bond forming is exothermic, and the net difference will show us whether it is exothermic or endothermic. And today we are going to look at drawing this diagram. We call this as energy level diagram. So as a start, there are two types of diagram. One represents exothermic, the other one represents endothermic. And first, we need to look at the run on the left side. The left side starts with the reactants. All right. So this level represents the level of energy that the reactant possesses, and it will be raised or dropped to a level when products are formed. And when we see an increase of energy level, that means overall heat is absorbed. We can say delta H, or heat of reaction is positive for the one on the left, and for the one on the left, on the right, is negative. So we can also say when delta H is positive, it is endothermic, and when delta H is negative, it's exothermic. So you should be able to interpret any diagram when you are given, and we need to be able to tell whether it is endothermic or exothermic by looking at the difference. Just a simple introduction on collision theory. So for any chemical reaction, the molecules will collide with each other, but there will be a certain amount of heat that is required. So under normal condition, there will be no chemical reaction, but if heat is applied, then it will attain a certain amount of energy, then the chemical reaction will occur. From the diagram just now, we know that for every chemical reaction, it requires a certain amount of heat for the chemical reaction to happen. So this is what we call the activation energy, which we can define again as the energy required to start a chemical reaction. It can be represented in this diagram by this barrier, and this ball represents the reactant, and this reactant needs to attain a certain amount of energy in order for the chemical reaction to happen. So let's say if there's not enough energy that is supplied, the chemical reaction will not happen. But if the energy supplied is more than the activation energy, then the reactants will have enough energy to be converted to the products. And this is a modified version of the energy level diagram, which we will not be drawing that much, but you need to know that this barrier represents the activation energy. And so that's all for this lesson on energy level diagram.